Hello, good evening, and welcome to another week of RPM Esports F1 action. And as you can see, we're at the Spa circuit in Belgium, and we've already got the cars on track. 16.5 minutes of qualifying remaining, so all cars currently out there are on outlaps. I believe it's Alpine leading the way. It's IJ, yeah, already into the second sector. Obviously a very long lap here, so they need to get out and get on with things if they're wanting to get the sort of usual 3-run plan in. And we'll just get set up with everything so we can see any comments coming through, and yeah, hopefully get you all the information. We'll just get the telemetry up now, that's available as well. And yeah, hopefully by that point we'll have some drivers on some laps and we can see how they're getting on. So in terms of, we'll just get the Drivers' Championship up as well. So Ricker leads us into what is now round 8 and the second half of the season. On 154 points, he is 12 clear of Kron, who's on 142, and then Phil McConaughey on 134. Spritzy on, and then we've got two awkward ones on half points. Spritzy on 119.5. Just seen IJ unfortunately invalidate the lap out of the final corner, so that's going to be a very long lap for him that is going to be of absolutely no use whatsoever. So next man across the line was Goa in the first of the McLarens, so we'll ride on board with him down towards Eau Rouge. Get our first look at this circuit for the evening on board. Up the hill, massive compression in the middle, and then rising up over the crest, DRS open, down the Camel Straight, just trying to put in as minimum steering input as possible, not scrubbing off any speed, and down into Lake Coombe for the first time. There's a car off actually. That's looks like it's IJ out of the session. So yeah, it's gone from bad to worse for the Alpine driver that was first out on track, but unfortunately hasn't even managed to get a lap in, and will most likely then start down the back. Right, apologies. Just realised I wasn't in the commentary booth, so yeah, apologies to any drivers for yeah, any distractions. Back to it then, and Goa is now already down in the final sector. We've got some yellow flags. That's Wardy, who's also managed to spin down at Lake Coombe. He's managed to keep it out of the wall though, in terms of definitely keeping all 4 tyres on anyway. Who have we got coming first across the line then? It was Goa, wasn't it? So he's through the final couple of corners and keeps it within the white lines, so absolutely no problem there. We're going to get the first time on the board. It's a 46.2. His teammate's right behind him, a 45.2, and Phil was behind them, a 45.1. So that's 3 times on the board. There's a Haas. Is that Kron? It is, and unfortunately we've just missed him. Shooting up to the top of the timetable there, a 44.4, and someone else has just gone in, Danos as well, a 45.6, Spivey 46.8. So the time's going through thick and fast now. Ricker's in there as well on a 44.6, just ahead of his teammate, so about half a second ahead of his teammate at the moment, and Schnitzy slots onto that front row now with a 44.5, getting close, but not quite close enough to Kron. The other Haas is in the pits. Philip Hogston, I believe, maybe. No, that's... who's it then? Is it Volcano? No, it's someone else. Goran Potner, perhaps. Yeah, just seemingly starting a lap. So we've got a couple of guys commenting already. We've got some support for the Mercs and Cosmo, and we've got a good evening from Nicker as well. Wow, Goran Potner getting all over the curbs through the top of Raddy on there. As we've got some more yellows, that's I think just the McLaren's coming back to the pits, so shouldn't be an issue there. Volcano showed some good pace last week, if I remember correctly, and he goes to the top of the pile, 44.2. Yet to see, I was just about to say, yet to see too much from the Astons as Huss goes across the line just a tenth off of pole. Gets himself onto the front row provisionally. Spritzy out there. Is he on a lap? I don't believe he is. No, he's just finished one. Sorry, he's 10th at the moment of 45.7. So I would assume there's more pace to come from the other Aston there. Higgsy, good evening and good luck, especially the Astons. So yeah, that was a good time to get that comment in. Cars just leaving gaps for those on flying laps. I don't know if Spivey is. Philip Hogston's going to come across the line and go P6 with a 44.9. That was good timing to pick him up, wasn't it? So we've got quite a few drivers there returning to the pits. Danos, I believe, will also do so. Who else is still out there? Goran Potner's the next man across then, and he is on a hot lap, providing he can get through those last couple of corners. What can he manage? Is it going to be in the 44s? Goes across the line. No, not quite. 45.3. Slots in just behind Craigo in the first of the Ferraris at the moment, and just into the top 10. So it looks like we've got 14 drivers sort of on the initial runs making times. We've got 5 still to set a time, and IJ, unfortunately, that we lost very early on. And we've just got some... just got some talk in the Discord. So who actually, yeah, just getting back to things, who was on pole last time out in Silverstone? Let's have a look. It was Kron, actually, with his second pole in a row. So he's P3 at the moment. Can he make it 3 in a row? He's got some work to do. He's got to find a couple of tenths, and that's assuming those ahead don't improve also. So we get more cars coming back out on outlaps now. I'm not sure if we've missed anything in the meantime while we've been looking at other things. Nothing up the sharp end, it seems. So we'll try and pick out someone who's on a hot lap out there. Tragos, very well, maybe. So we're on board with him through the early part of the second sector. Downhill right-hander, very easy to run wide through there. Oh, and almost losing the rear on the exit. And yeah, through the left-hander there, about a 90-degree left-hander. Just making sure to keep it within the white lines, and now through Buon. Double apex left-hander. Very high speed in modern F1 cars. Through the Fagny chicane, right then left. Again, easy to run out wide through the first part of Stablo, and then yeah, easy flat this time through the second part. Now heading down towards Blanchimont, just trying to, as we've mentioned, keep the steering inputs as smooth as possible, keep as much speed as you can, and then you're looking for around the 100-metre board into the bus stop chicane that is no longer a bus stop. And keeping it within the white lines and across the line. It looks like a very decent lap, and it is indeed. 44.2 goes ahead of Volcano for provisional P1. All very neat and tidy indeed. We've got a Red Bull, have we, coming across the line? Which is Spivey. I don't think he's just set a time. Are we missing anything? We've got... is Ricker on a lap? No, starting one. Nick is asking, is it a dry race? I have absolutely no idea, to be honest. That's interesting, looking at the telemetry then. Apparently we've got, forecast, we've got around half an hour of just overcast. Then about 30 minutes into the race, light rain, but then 45 minutes it returns to overcast, so maybe a hint of rain sort of 2/3 of the way through the race, which could spice things up quite a bit. What's going on at the moment anyway? So Ricker's on a lap, isn't he? And I believe he's had a pole position so far this season, has he? Let's just have a look. Yes, in round 4 in Japan. And he's also won the last 2 races. I believe, which was the half points affair in Spain, and obviously Silverstone last time out. So yes, Ricker is definitely one of the ones to watch, and as we've mentioned, currently leading the championship on 154 points after 7 rounds. Through the second sector timing beam now, and he is improving by almost 0.3 of a second, which would put him pretty much right in the battle for pole at the moment, wouldn't it? So there's some yellow flags for a McLaren behind, which I think may be on a slow lap. As also one of the Astons as well down at Lake Coombe, maybe another victim. And just turning in a little early, it seemed was Ricker. Someone's gone faster, I think it was Danos, but Ricker across the line. What's it going to be? Provisional pole. Yes, he did improve a little bit more to go fastest with a 44.1. And who's going to be next across? We've got Craigo perhaps in the Ferrari. He's improving by about half a second. Should get him maybe P9 here. No, unfortunately lost a little bit of time in that final sector and improves only to P11. Who is so that's Cosmo, I don't think on a lap by the looks of things. Nick would recommend to start on the mediums. I honestly have no idea what the ideal strategy would be around here. Not a clue. Who's coming across the line? Is that Volcano? It is, and we've just missed it unfortunately because it was a 43.8. First man into the 43s takes back that provisional pole position. And I think it's only his second race in RPM. Not actually sure. He's a reserve, I think, actually, isn't he? Qualified and finished P3 last time out, so he'll be looking to repeat that good form and maybe improve on it just a little bit as well this week. So who have we got? We've got Wardy starting a lap. No idea where to start picking out who's on an out lap, in lap or flying lap in amongst all that that's on the mini map at the moment. So we'll stick with Wardy and try and just keep half an eye on the timing tower to the left. See if anything changes. Higgsy's saying good lap from Volcano. Yep, absolutely. And puts himself at 0.3 clear of anyone else so far. Wardy then down the Camel Straight. And first sector time is coming up. He's yet to get a time on the board, of course. 30 seconds flat down to that first sector. Only Wardy and Sinful yet to set a time of those that are still running. And is anything happening on the left? I think most of the drivers are coming back into the pits. There's a Haas maybe. It's Cron. I think he may have just started a lap. We'll keep an eye on it. As GL's retired in the pits, so he's done all he can for qualifying this evening. And is that car coming back into the pits as well? It is. So Wardy, at the moment, approaching the end of the second sector already. Looking reasonable. Definitely on all the right parts of the racetrack. Schnitzy's just gone second fastest, the 44.0. Didn't quite make it into the 43s. There's a Mercedes coming across the line, which I think may have been Sinful starting a lap. And the Aston's coming back into the pits. So not too long left in qualifying, only 3 minutes, so Wardy's going to have a bit of a tight time actually getting back to the pits and back out again. I don't think he's going to manage that, is he? So this may be his only effort, and it's a 44.6, puts him just into the top 10 at the moment. So let's try and pick up who's next. Is it Sinful on a lap? Yes, he is. He's the one that's around the start of the circuit. Danos is going into the pits. So we have a McLaren, who is the next to approach the finish line, but he's going very slowly. So I believe it may well be Cron, who is improving by 0.4. So if you can replicate that in the final sector, then he'll be right up with Volcano only. So this is probably going to be somewhere. My guess would be it's going to slot in between Volcano and Schnitzy. Can he improve that a little bit more and get himself onto provisional pole? And he goes across the line. No, it's only second. So, and that's going to be it, isn't it? With 2 minutes remaining, that's going to be it for Cron. So he's not going to make it 3 poles in a row. And who's next across the line? There's one of the Astons of Huss starting a lap. Philip Hogston coming across the line. He'd invalidated that out lap, but starts a fresh flying lap by the looks of things. Goran Potner is starting a lap, so I think this is going to be the majority of them starting laps, isn't it? Schnitzy returning to the pits, that'll be qualifying done for him. There's an Alfa Romeo, which is Cosmo, who's not on a lap. Phil also. And in a little bit of traffic there as he starts his lap, maybe trying to get a tow and blast past on the run to Lake Home. That'll be interesting to watch. Who have we got coming across the line? Snellhank, yeah. So yeah, again, starting a lap. The Ferrari, I believe, is Wardy coming back to the pits. This Ferrari is Craigo, who is again on an out lap. Volcano is coming back to the pits, is he? Yes, I believe so. And Rick is on an out lap as well. So who's the first? Is it Dragos? Is he on a lap? No. Is Spritzy on a lap? No. Good evening, all. Looks like we've got a few joining us right at the end of qualifying here. Who is that that's coming across the line? That's a Red Bull of Spivey. Not on a lap. So Kron is back into the pits. Yes. Philip Hogston is going to come across the line. He's improving a little bit. This might just get him ahead of Cosmo. No, it's going to get him in the wall, unfortunately. So who was the next to cross? It's going to be Huss is into the pits. We know this this performance, don't we? Who is going across the line? Couldn't quite catch it. Don't think there was massive improvement. It's Goran Potner. He's P13. This Philip Hogston making it across the line. So the next one is the AlphaTauri of Phil then. And we've lost Cosmo somewhere, so one can only assume he's not going to improve. Phil comes across the line. What's it going to be? 44.4 puts him P7. There's a McLaren of Snellhank coming around the final corner, improving as well. Where does he go? P11. Good lap, good improvement on his final run. Backer saying he's just in time for the race. Yeah, absolutely. Not be very long at all. I'll be honest, I don't know if we've got a formation lap this evening, but it'd be a nice long one if we do. Right, who have we still got out there qualifying? Volcano looks like he's going for another lap, but is this on used tyres? I think it is. So we'll see if he can manage anything, or if indeed he pulls into the pits. But I think he's going to intend on carrying on. He does indeed. But he is on provisional pole at the moment. Doesn't have to carry these tyres into the race this season, of course. Goes across and does improve by another 10th. Ricka then is improving slightly. This might get him ahead of Schnitzy. No, stays P4. Dragos across the line. Goes P2. 43.8. Only the third man into the 43s. As we've got Spritzy coming into the pits. So Craigo's the last man. And he looks like he's returning to the pits as well. So that looks like it's quali over. And Volcano, in just his second race, sticks it on pole from Dragos. And Kron having to settle for P3 this time. So we'll have full qualifying order coming right up. And yeah, straight into the race very shortly. Let's just catch up with a couple of some comments. We've got some Ferrari support from Richie, of course. We've got plenty from Backer. So Backer saying it's close top 3 and then make that top 5 actually. Yeah, indeed. What's that? 3/10 between them. The top 3 all in the 43s and then 2 44 zeros for 4th and 5th. And we'll get full confirmation, as I mentioned, very shortly. There you have it then. Volcano on pole from Dragos, Krons, Schnitzy, Ricka, Huss, Phil, Danos, Spritzy, Wardy. That's your top 10. And then we've got Snellhank, Cosmo, Philip Hogston, Goran Potner, Craigo, Spivey, Goa, GR. They're the 18 that set times. Then we had IJ that we lost very early on. Sinful, I believe, was active for the whole qualifying session, but for whatever reason, we didn't get a time out of him. So yeah, confirmation actually then that we have a formation lap. So we'll have a little bit of time to gather our thoughts, get some predictions in the chat, of course, and yeah, generally see how things are going before we get lights out. It's always a bit of a rush when we load straight in, don't have anything on screen, and already the 5 lights are coming on. So very, very good to have the formation lap back this week. So yeah, as mentioned, there is a slight chance of rain, and it looks very dull out there, doesn't it? It definitely looks overcast as we expected. So yeah, looking at one point throughout the race, 86% chance of rain, 71% just before that, 65 after 10 minutes. So it looks like it could well be a factor. And yeah, as if you needed anything to spice up a race at Spa, there is always the possibility of rain, and it looks like we may well get it. Drivers just selecting their starting fuel loads and tyres, of course. They'll all be on the slicks, but which compound of those 3 slick tyres will they be on? And of course, if there is a threat of rain, is it do you go for the hard and try and go as long as possible for that rain to come, and you know, time your first stop or your only stop maybe with when the rain does come. Let's have a look then. We've got the tyres on screen for you, and it's no one's on the softs. That's the first observation we can make of that. The top 3 all on the mediums, and then those 4 and 5 that Bakker added to sort of the close race at the top. They've both gone for the hard tyres. So Schnitzy and Rick are both gone for the hards, as has his AlphaTauri teammate Phil, just a couple of places behind. In between them, there's Huss on a set of mediums as well. Danos on the mediums. Aston have split the strategy then. Spritzy's gone hard. Then we've got a couple of rows of medium runners, haven't we? Wardy, Snellhank, Cosmo and Philip Hogston, and then Goran Potner, Craig Spivey or hards, and then another 3 medium runners, Goa, GR, RJ and Simple starting at the back on the hard tyre. We've got some race predictions in. We've got some support for Aston as well from Bakker, of course. So Nick is saying race prediction P1 P1 Phil or T1 Phil, potato tomato. Yeah, we've seen that already this season, haven't we? Phil can either win or bin. I say that, has he won a race? Yeah, he won from pole in Bahrain. Didn't finish in Australia. Didn't actually start in Hungary. But other than that, it's been a 4th, a 2nd, a 4th and a 6th. So he's always been there or thereabouts, but yeah, definitely has a mistake in him. Hopefully he's listening. We are almost around the formation lap then. So very soon the drivers will be lining up on the grid, and we will be underway with the Belgian Grand Prix of this season 4 of RPM. The senior tier, of course, 30 years of age and above. All these guys out there, the majority of them also on the wheel. I'm not sure if anyone is on the controller out of this lot. Maybe 1 or 2. But lining up on the grid now. For the first time in a few weeks, Kron has drivers ahead of him on the grid. Ricker has missed his grid slot by the looks of things. So not sure if that affects the tyre temperatures, but if it does, it will be pretty tricky on those hard tyres. Going down the back also missing it, but we've got 20 cars on the grid, which means we should have some lights coming on any moment now. We've got a green flag at the back, and we've got 1 light and 2 lights. Before you know it, we've got 5. And we are away. Who's going to get the best of the starts? Volcano looks like he's got the inside covered into turn 1. Dragos going with him, and then there's a bit of a gap actually to Kron. Schnitzy up the inside already, and we've got some contact by the looks of things. We've got yellow flags, and we've got Ricker facing the wrong way, so that's your championship leader down the back already. Does he have damage? Let's have a quick look at the telemetry. Doesn't appear that he does, and we didn't see any visual damage either. So Ricker, hard tyres on. And we obviously did miss the grid spot. Maybe that tyre temperature came into play. Volcano going a little bit defensive from Dragos and then going a little bit deep into Leikum, maybe giving the Alpha a chance, but looks like he's got that back under control, and yeah, it does lead us into the second sector for the first time. So Volcano, Dragos, Kron, Schnitzy and Huss is your top 5. Let's just have a quick look at the position changes. Yeah, Ricker down 15, then that's the big change, of course. Sinful's up 6 from the back of the grid. Snelling down 4 and Goran Potner down 3. Spritzy's also dropped a few places from his starting position, so we'll be looking to make those back up as soon as possible. And where do we have any movements going on? Sinful looking at the back of Spivey. That could be the next change, as he looks to make up yet more positions. And getting very close to the back of the Red Bull. There's a little bit of contact as Spivey just gets a little bit of a wiggle on. It looks like they all got away with it though. And just behind this is Snellhenk as well. So it's a bit of a 3-car battle here for 13th, 14th and 15th. We'll very definitely keep an eye on that, but just go back to the front then, because Dragos is still within half a second of Volcano. Obviously getting a good slipstream down through Blanchemont to the bus stop chicane. Also Schnitzy and Huss very much sticking on the back of Kron. And what tyres did they have on? Schnitzy's got the hards on, so yeah, looking very good. Definitely got some good pace to be sticking with these medium runners so far. As we come across the line for the first time, lap 2 of 22, obviously a very long lap, so the lap count is much less than we've got used to in recent weeks. And I'm not sure actually how easy it is for the drivers to drop the car, as we've seen in the past through Eau Rouge on with these new cars. It's definitely still a very tricky corner as Huss and Phil potentially lining up for a move, and that is again hard tyres versus medium tyres. The hards, we got someone off. That's Schnitzy's off, and I can't get onto. There we go. His front wing as well. So we just said how well it was going. Unfortunately, he's got down to the end of the first sector, and it's all gone wrong for him. And he's going to have to be back in the pits for that as well, as his teammate comes past him. Spivey there up the inside. So yeah, absolute disaster for Schnitzy as Ricker makes a move back up the ahead of IJ then, and takes Schnitzy as well, of course, so he's back up to P18. Still has a lot of progress to make, Ricker, after that first corner spin. So we've got Volcano just about getting that 1 second gap to Dragos, likewise Kron and Huss. So the first man at the moment who's still within that DRS zone is Phil, but he's very close to dropping out of it as well. He'll be giving it a bit of overtake mode to try and stay in now. Of course, it would be engaged at the start of the next lap, as Goran Potner is facing the wrong way now. So that's not very good, is it? So we'll just have a quick look at the damage. We're seemingly not getting all the telemetry through. We're not getting any tyre telemetry for all but 2 cars, so that's very strange. And we're also not getting any damage telemetry either, which is a little concerning. Either way, let's go back to the action on screen. And Spritzy is starting to make some moves on his hard tyres. He's come up behind the Ferrari of Craigo now. In fact, both Ferraris ahead of him. As I'll just try and get the telemetry going again. Spritzy lining up through Eau Rouge. He's going to be very close and should get the DRS, of course, this time. DRS, yeah, wide open. And yeah, breezes past really, doesn't he? Yeah, unfortunately then, doesn't look like we're getting any telemetry in terms of the damage in the tyre wear for all but 2 cars out there. We've got Ricker and we've got Goa. No idea what's going on, but we've got yellow flags. Who's that? That's Spivey out. So it's absolute shocker for Red Bull so far. And we've got a virtual safety car by the looks of things, because there's no little yellow dot at pit lane. Yeah, still would be very nice. And we've got rain. I was just about to say it'd be very nice if we could get, you know, a VSC or safety car indicator. I'm sure it's not too difficult a thing, rather than just showing us as yellow flags in all sectors. But who knows? Maybe it's too much to ask. Volcano's leading us then. However, we have rain on the horizon. When it will become enough for potentially a change of tyres, who knows? But it's certainly not going to help matters. And obviously, if nothing else, it gets in the head of the drivers, and it will certainly make the track a little bit greasy. So still under VSC conditions then, as Kron and Dragos are running pretty close together. We've got Krago into the pits. So I'm not sure if he was running with damage. What's his plan here? Hopefully not intermediates. That's a very early call. Krago's putting the intermediates on under the VSC. It's just not going to be wet enough though, is it? Kron's got a drive through for speeding under the VSC. Oh no. So the VSC's now ended. We're back racing again. Kron has a drive-through penalty. That's going to destroy his race, isn't it? What he needs is to take that as soon as possible, because with these worsening conditions, we may well get a safety car, and that's about the only thing that's going to save his race at the moment. But either way, he's going to lose all of the track position that he currently has. We'll keep an eye on Krago, but I can't imagine that those intermediates are going to be the right call at the moment. I think I'm just going to burn through them. I may be proven wrong. We'll see, but we'll see if he has any grip by the time he gets down to Lake Coombe. Doesn't actually look that bad. I've seen worse when you've swapped over to the Inters, although he's maybe just dropping a little bit of time to those ahead. It does seem very early still, doesn't it? We'll keep an eye on the gap as it develops, but at the moment everything's pretty spread out up the front, isn't it? Following that VSC, we've got the two McLarens running half a second apart. That's probably the closest battle on track, is it? No, we've got Philip Hodgson on the back of GR here. So we'll have a look. Alpine versus Haas, of course, and a little bit of a wiggle there from the Haas just ahead. Nick is saying the weather might save Kron's bacon. Yeah, maybe, but he has to get it served as soon as possible, because if he waits and there's a safety car, then that's disaster. So personally, I would have served it now, because well, there we go. We have Krago running on what's seemingly the wrong tyres then, because he's losing time and it looks like he's just been off. So you know, if Krago was to drop it and hit the wall now and there's a safety car, then Kron should absolutely have pitted that lap. So yeah, it'd be better for him to just sort of take the pain now. But yeah, Nick, we do have rain, yeah, absolutely. And we've already got a car out on the intermediates, but it doesn't look like it's the right way to go. It hasn't looked as disastrous as I first thought. He's probably lost 5 seconds since he put them on, but I expected him to just sort of drop like a stone. Maybe it's a little bit wetter than we think out there, but the leader's still very much keeping it on the track. We've not seen any major moments from any of these, as Danos is closing to within a second of Phil now. Cosmo as well, just within that 1 second window. And the two McLarens still very close on track, as they seem to be almost every race. Snell leading go up. So lap 5 of 22. Rain came much earlier than expected. And Rick is making progress. He's back up to P12. He started 5th and spun at turn 1. Let's have a look at Krago. The problem is a couple of laps on the Inters when it's not wet enough for them, and they'll be dead anyway. Unfortunately, we don't have the information, because we don't have any telemetry. We have 2 drivers worth of telemetry in terms of the tyre wear, which is bizarre. Never seen that before, but yeah, Krago doesn't look like it. And he's got damage as well, so that's not going to help matters. We've got Smith with some support for Aston. Huss at the moment is their best opportunity in P4, but Spritzy's had a reasonable start, having lost a few places off the grid. He's back up to P9, but probably expected to lose a couple of places with those hard tyres to the mediums around him. Definitely the majority of drivers started on the mediums, of course. And Rickus didn't pit, did he? Yeah, so he's still on the hards as well. So be interesting to see how long this rain continues. Krago's come back in, changed a front wing, I imagine, and gone back out with a set of softs. So he'll be praying for a safety car now. Kron's still not served that drive-through, so he's still going around out there. Not sure what the benefit in waiting is. other than maybe not being in traffic. As what have we got in the Discord? As we've got yellows. What have we got? That's Dragos facing the wrong way on the exit of Stavlo. Does he have damage? Once again, I cannot tell from the telemetry. Looks like perhaps not, but is that just a mistake, or is that an indication that things are getting a little wetter out there? As we've got some cars side by side there. We've got Kron in for his drive-through. We've got Danos all over the back of Phil. We've got Cosmo facing the wrong way as well, so it's a bad couple of corners for the Alfa Romeos. Have we got... is that the yellow flag still for Cosmo? Yeah, he can't get going again because of the cars coming. Having to do a bit of a 3-point turn. Probably more like a 7-point turn by the time he'd finished that. So Kron's still in the pits. Have we got another one in the pits as well? No. So back to the front. We've got Volcano and we have Huss now 5.8 behind. What's just happened there? Spritzy has taken Wardy for P5. So yeah, we've lost both of the Alfa Romeos essentially, haven't we, through spins from that top 5, I believe. That puts Phil up on those hard tyres into P3. Spritzy as well on his hard tyres into P5 all of a sudden. So the two drivers that I do have data on are on the hard and the medium. So we do have a bit of comparison there. Goa's medium tyres are on 35%. Ricker's hard tyres are on 28%. DRS has now been disabled. So I'm not sure if that is as sort of dumb a feature as it's been in the past, where as soon as the DRS is disabled you have to put the inters on. I'm not sure whether that's been sort of randomised, but that's definitely an indication that it's getting wetter out there. And when are they going to decide is the time to come in and put some intermediate tyres on? Volcano feels it's not this lap. Does Huss decide to come in? No, he continues on. What's Phil going to do? Also carries on. Danos and so Spritzy. Come on, throw us a gamble, Spritzy. Nope, no one coming in. So they're all carrying on, all thinking it's too dry still for the inters. You've got to be on the right tyres, especially this sort of track where it's so long. I mean, what are we lapping in at the minute? 147s, something like that. No, sorry, actually a lot slower than that because of the rain. 153.3 was the last lap for Volcano. So the best part of 2 minutes a lap. So if you're on the wrong tyres, you're on the wrong tyres for a very long time. A couple of seasons back, I managed to win a race by pitting, I believe, at the start of the final lap for Inters, and it was just so much quicker because you're on the right tyre for the conditions, and you're gaining that, as I mentioned, obviously over a 2-minute lap. Certainly somewhere like Austria you wouldn't get that sort of benefit. But yeah, still no one. Crago's gone back on the Inters, so he's definitely keen on making that work, isn't he? Not giving up on his Inters, and it's definitely looking more appropriate now. We'll keep an eye on what the pace is. It's 36.7 seconds off Corin Potner, having made 2 stops, I guess. 3 stops. Ah, of course, yeah, the first one for the Inters, then the softs, and then back onto the Inters. Yeah, 3 stops. So, what have we got going on there? Oh, nothing it seems. Lap 8 of 22. Hopefully this isn't going to be one of those sort of races where it promises a change of tyres throughout the whole race and then just nothing happens. Ricker's back up to P9. We'll get the tyre information back on. There you go. Yeah, Ricker making his way back up to P9, and he's back on the tail of Snellink and Wardy now then, so he could gain another couple of places very soon, but getting it a little bit out of shape. And I'll tell you what, we've seen a couple of mistakes creeping in. Maybe it's just coming to the point where you need a set of Inters, and Sinful is deciding to get himself off those hard tyres. Hard tyres maybe lose temperature a little earlier, of course, so it's maybe a little easier if you're out there on the mediums. Inters going on then. So this is the first time we've seen someone other than Craigo going for the Inters. Auger as well in the Alpine. I assume coming in for a set of groove tyres. So we'll keep an eye on Sinful now then. A couple more examples to choose from in terms of whether the intermediate is the right tyre, and he's certainly giving it plenty through our Rouge for the first time. There's not a great deal going on in terms of on-track action up the front. It's almost as if they're just settled in and are waiting for something to happen. The closest battle at the moment in the top 10 is this one between Ricker and Snellhenk. Also just a second off of Wardy ahead of them. Cron coming back through as well after his drive-through. So Ricker having spun at turn 1 and Cron having had a drive-through for speeding under the VSC, and they've pretty much met in exactly the same position. Not sure why I've been tagged. Never mind. We've got some yellows. That is GR by the looks of things. He's in the barrier. Does he have damage? I believe he's one of the ones we have information for. No, he's not. It's Goa, sorry, in the McLaren. More yellows then. And more drivers into the pits. We've got, oh, what? That's Philip Hogston facing the wrong way on the start-finish straight. So we've got quite a few drivers in this time then. Huss has been in and put the inters on. Cron, I think, is coming in to put the inters on. Wardy, Goa, and Sinful. We've seen the lap before. So all of a sudden, there's quite a few inters out there, isn't there? As well, we've got a safety car. What's happened? Who have we lost out there? Why do we require a safety car? I can't see anyone that we've lost. However, that sort of that kills it for anyone who's just put the inters on and was looking to do a bit of an undercut on it, because now these guys can, as long as they can keep it on the road and actually have the tyres and the grip to match the Delta, then they're going to get a very cheap pit stop. They will, of course, lose any gap, of course, because it's a full safety car, but they will definitely maintain track position. So I think it's probably going to work out in the favour of those who've not yet pitted. So Spritzy might end up staying ahead of his teammate even. Actually, no, it's quite tight, isn't it? So yeah, I think he probably should get ahead of him. It's a very short pit lane here, of course. As Volcano comes through, what's he going to do? He does indeed decide to go for the pit lane. Phil having to slow down to match the Delta then by the looks of things. He's also going to pit. I think everyone's going to be in this time. It does, yeah, there's a definite sheen to the surface now, isn't there? So I imagine we're going to see everyone in. Spritzy, yes. Dragos, yes. Snellhenk is still matching the Delta into the bus stop chicane. And he lets Huss on his way. So Huss is actually going to come through. So Huss was P2, wasn't he? Is he going to get ahead of the likes of Phil? Don't tell me. Oh no, Phil's put the mediums on. Phil has put the mediums on. He does, yeah, so he was at the safety car line first, so he stays ahead in second place. Does Phil think that this rain's going to go away under the safety car? That's the only reason I would imagine. Spritzy's done the same. And Ricker has also put mediums on. So either three of them have had some sort of glitch, they've made the wrong decision, or they know something we don't. And I wonder if this rain's forecast, it does look bright in the sky, doesn't it? I wonder if this rain is forecast to go away within the next sort of couple of minutes, or even 5 minutes, because if they're going to do, what, 3 laps under the safety car, that can easily be 5 minutes here, isn't it? Because it's the last lap, even with, I don't think the last lap was well, it wasn't fully safety car, was it? It was under the Delta. So yeah, 2:13. We're looking at some of the times for the last lap. So yeah, it could very easily change. So Smith's saying some sort of bold strategy calls there. Nick is saying this is what happens when Phil won't allow him to race engineer for him. Apparently Jeff, who is I believe Mark Priestley this year, is saying dry tyres are the best. So either Mark is harnessing his inner Jeff and talking absolute cobblers, or these three are about to move to the front of the pack, and AlphaTauri pull the blinder if this works out. So apparently the rain's going to stop in 10 minutes, which is interesting because this safety car isn't going to be 10 minutes, but 10 minutes could mean 6 minutes, because anything over 5 minutes would use the the race engineer recording of 10 minutes. Oh dear. Well, either way, it's made it interesting, because we don't just have 19 cars out there on intermediate tyres to do the... Oh, Phil! Don't drop it under the safety car, because that would just be endless ammunition for some post-race banter. Volcano leads on intermediates, Phil second on mediums, and they are going to be difficult to keep any sort of temperature in a slick tyre on this sort of track at the moment. Wait a minute, Spritzy's done it. Oh no, and he's in the way. He can't get going again, he's ghosted for some reason, and a little bit of chaos there, as I think someone actually ended up gaining a place from that. So Spritzy's lost out big time there, hasn't he? So yeah, we were just saying it's going to be hard to keep temperature in those mediums behind the safety car on a wet track, and we're proving that to absolutely be the case, as Phil was almost another one as well to drop it coming out of that corner. Still under the safety car, and I would imagine we probably will be for another lap. GR's pitted, and entirely sure why. Spritzy's off the track again, so clearly got absolutely no temperature in those medium tyres, and he's really struggling. I tell you what though, if he can keep it out of the wall and doesn't get any damage, as we've got some support for Goran Potner in the chat, currently running 16th. That's definitely not what he's capable of. I would imagine if he can stay out of trouble, he would start to move up the order. But yeah, if Spritzy can not pick up any damage under the safety car and can somehow get some sort of temperature back into it, then if this sort of weather gamble does pay off, and he's still effectively P3, isn't he, behind the two AlphaTauris, so it's still got time to work. They're going to be praying, these guys on the mediums, that there's another lap of safety car, because this is not the sort of conditions to get back underway on a set of slicks, and if they do have to get underway, then it's going to be in this lap. Yeah, so what sort of chaos is this going to cause with three drivers out there on mediums, the rest of them on inters that will be nicely up to temperature pretty much straight away? And I'm sure at this moment in time, with that amount of standing water, they will be the better tyre. So the mediums might be the better tyre in 2 minutes time, but right now I'll be gobsmacked if they're able to stick with the inters on this safety car restart. Look at the effort Phil's having to put in to get some tyre temperature, and it'd be interesting to see when Volcano decides to go, because the safety car is back in the pits now, and he's already gone. So yeah, he's caught them napping there, and of course gives the medium guys less time to get up to temperature by going so early. And he's already sliding out of the final corner. He's already 2.5 clear. Huss, I don't think he's going to... he's very close. I don't think he's allowed to overtake before the start-finish line. Danos has done the pair of them. So maybe he just timed that run perfectly and overtook just as they crossed the line. Phil's facing the wrong way. He just about keeps it out of the wall. Spritzy as well has dropped all the way to the back, so I think he's had another incident. They're just not getting the temperature. Rika, though, is quietly keeping it on the track by the looks of things. That's famous last words. He'll probably bin it up Eau Rouge now. But no, just about keeping with it. Although he's got Cosmo right behind him, look. So the Inter's definitely working better at this stage. Can those medium runners even keep it on the track for much longer? They'll be getting temperature, of course, as long as they do keep it on the track. They'll be building some temperature. And in theory, if there is a dry patch coming, and the weather's going to keep coming towards them, there is a Haas there of Kron making progress. He's back up to P6, having had that drive-through penalty, of course, while running P3, wasn't he, at the time? And looking at the inside of Wardy, surely not into poo on. That's going to be a brave move when he gets there, as Wardy hangs on just around the outside. But, the two AlphaTauris then, running line astern now in 9th and 10th. What they don't want to do is have Phil spin and take them both out. It's Sinful now lining up around the outside, and look how easy that is around the outside of the first part of the Fanya chicane. And this is the problem you've got. We've got cars left, right and centre trying to overtake Rika, and it'd be so easy for one of them to stick a nose up the inside and end up spinning out. So Rika's just got to be patient. No, he's going to be in the wall. Came together with, I'm not sure who that was. May well have been Goran Partner, was it? Not sure on that one. It seemed to be a blue car. But unfortunately for Rika, that's ruined that strategy, because he's got front wing damage, a lot of front wing damage, and he's going to have to pit this lap. So, out of the three that had the medium tyres on, it's definitely not played out well. Volcano we've not even looked at him since the safety car restart, which he timed absolutely perfectly, as Smith's saying in the chat. And yeah, it's just gone absolutely flying off into the distance. So it's looking a little bit brighter, but right now Volcano is doing what you have to do: be on the right tyre at the right time. Phil's picked up 3 seconds of penalty as well then. So and Rick is back on the Inters, so that's really not paid off then. So we thought if they did work, then AlphaTauri pulled a blinder with both cars on the mediums. Unfortunately, it's very much not been the case, and Phil now, just to top it off, is facing the wrong way, and there's Philip Hogston in there as well. So it looks like there's been some contact down at Lacombe. So yeah, the medium tyres haven't worked. Spritzy and Phil are still persevering with them. The problem they've got is they are now 34 seconds behind Volcano, so they're a pit stop behind the leader already. So yeah, as we said, be on the right tyre at the right time. Volcano is maybe just being closed in on a little bit by Huss now. Dragos, despite that earlier spin, is still in P3. We've got some yellows. That's GR, is it? Who's facing the wrong way, and Spritzy's been in the wall as well. Left front wing damage, so he's going to have to pit. Is there any damage on the Haas? Here's the key question. Can't quite see from that angle. It doesn't appear there's any visual damage. And so Phil has a penalty but no damage. Spritzy has damage, so yeah, in terms of the two mediums out there, there's probably not too much to keep up on now. As Simple and Schnitzy racing each other down into turn 1, and the Red Bull gets better traction out wide. Simple got a bag of wheel spin there and maintains P10 for now. So what do we have? We've still got Snelling and Wardy within a second of each other, as they have been for quite a while now. And Spritzy's pitting. I imagine he'll probably put a set of intermediates back on. He's obviously pitting for the front wing anyway. And that will leave just Phil on the mediums. And he's dropping off the back, or in fact he's dropped behind GR now in the Haas as well, so it's not paying off yet. Spritzy back onto the Inters. And oh, Snelling sideways. He's going to cross the track there, but stays out of everyone's way. And he has quite a pack coming up, so we'll be hoping to get ahead of all of those. But, unfortunately for him, Schnitzy's through. Is Sinful going to be through as well? He is. Goran Potner couldn't quite make it in time. And oh, he's going to be just about sideways. And as you saw, coming through there, Cosmo's facing the wrong way as well. And once again, finds himself doing a 3-point turn for the second time this evening. So, are the mediums improving? Nope, that's very slow. And he's only 8.8 ahead of his teammate Ricker now then, so that says it all really, doesn't it? It's not worked out at all. 4.8 is still the gap between Volcano and Huss, so Volcano, who last week came in as a reserve for his first race, qualified and finished third. He looks like he could possibly qualify and finish first this time, because I'm pretty sure he started on pole position, didn't he? Yeah, absolutely. We've got some yellows. That is, oh, that's Ricker. So it's that's front wing damage again. The same corner, isn't it? I'm pretty sure. So yeah, it's been a disastrous evening for AlphaTauri, who, let's not forget, were leading the constructors before this evening by about 60 points, I believe, from Alpha. So Dragos looking like scoring big for them at the moment. That will be good news. Huss as well for Aston, keeping them very much in the fight, and Volcano in the Williams. Don't think that'll count as a reserve, I may be wrong. So lap 16 of 22, we're already getting very close to the end of the race, as we've got Ricker in the pits once again, putting a set of softs on. So maybe now the slicks are finally starting to come good. But as we've mentioned, the problem is, yeah, Phil's 49 seconds off the lead with a 3-second penalty, so almost, the best part of a minute off the lead. And just because Rick has put softs on doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the right choice even now. We'll see how he gets on. I imagine they're going to be maybe a little bit easier than the likes of the hards were earlier to get temperature in. But Volcano, at the moment, is starting lap 17 of 22, 5 seconds in the lead of the race. And it's all looking very comfortable for the man who started on pole position. Dragos, though, is choosing to pit, as is Danos. So, unfortunately for Phil, he's carried those mediums all the way since the safety car. And these guys are just going to go, right, I'll have a bit of that now, thank you very much. They're putting the soft tyres on, and they're going to come out a long way ahead of him. So, it turns out that pitting under the safety car for Inters, and then seemingly pitting on lap 17, well, the end of lap 16, for a set of softs is probably the ideal strategy. Whether and can Dragos get clear of Goran Potner? Yes, he can. So Dragos has come out in P6, and we'll keep an eye on what that gap to the leader is, because that will obviously be crucial. Is it sort of still pretty early, or is it now the perfect time? And are those times going to tumble? It's 25.1 seconds between Volcano and Dragos. If that starts coming down significantly throughout this lap, then perhaps we have a race on. He was 5 seconds clear of Huss, wasn't he? And Dragos was just behind the Aston. So, it's still 25.8, isn't it? So it's not sort of tumbling. They're probably able to match at best the pace now. As we've got some yellow flags, I think that was just one of the Haas cars coming out of the pit lane, perhaps. 26 seconds, so yeah, even now the softs aren't sort of all of a sudden taking 2 seconds a lap or anything like that out of the leaders. So I would imagine Volcano is probably going to is he going to go on for another lap, or is he just going to sort of play it safe? I guess even if they're not the absolute fastest tyre. Yes, it looks like he's going in. So yeah, your leader's in, Huss is in as well. Even though Dragos has only managed to match them, it's obviously drying out, so perhaps on the next lap he would have started taking those big chunks out of them. Wardy's going to carry on, and he's going to actually take the lead. So he's going to take the track position. But I can't imagine it lasting very long, because Volcano's out of the pits on a brand new set of softs. Everyone else is now in the pits, I'm pretty certain. IJ is coming through the final corner. Is he going to come in? Yes, he is. So Phil's only hope now, I guess, is to stay out on these mediums and try and pick off as many as he can, pick up some points. Spritzy, unfortunately, he's out there on the inters now. It's probably just best to write this one off and move on to next week, which is Monza, I believe. So Wardy is 6.7 clear at the moment. Wait a minute, we've got, is that Grand Potner has dropped it at the top of Eau Rouge. Onto the Camel straight, yep. So unfortunately for him, dropping back down to P14. Ricker then has had an absolute disaster at championship leader, hasn't he? It pretty much went from turn 1 on lap 1. Not looking like picking up any major points this evening. Wardy's dropped it! Wardy is in the wall on those inters, the last man to swap over, and unfortunately it's ended in retirement by the looks of things. Does he still have the car? He's ghosted. Trying to find a gap maybe, but I'm not sure if he's... We don't tend to run ghosting on, so either this is overruling that setting or we've lost Wardy. Let's see if he can spin the car back around. No, he's back in it. So seemingly carrying on then. Although he's ghosted again there, has he? Yeah, back in the race by the looks of things. He's going to have to pit, of course. It's going to be even slower now because he's got to put a front wing on it. Wait a minute, we've got a safety car. Okay then, we have a safety car, which is going to be lap 19 and 20 at a guess, and 2 laps of racing. That's interesting. So now this is going to favour those that haven't got penalties, isn't it? So what penalties do we have? So they're all 3 seconds effectively. Woody, I imagine, is going to be able to serve his 5 seconds in the pits. He hasn't been able to serve it in the pits. So the top 4 all have no penalties, so if they can maintain that, then that's very good news for them. The likes of Danos, Schnitzy and Snelling may well drop down the order. Phil as well has already picked up another penalty. Question is now, how sort of quickly can the likes of Ricker and Spritzy, who you'd normally expect to see up the sharp end, make their way back through. Everyone is on soft tyres, except Craigo on 1 lap old mediums and Phil on 8 lap old mediums. Right in the middle of the pack there. 9 seconds penalties for IJ, 6 seconds for Cosmo. So we've got quite a bit of support for Nick is saying Phil boxing for Inters. Go on, Phil. Pit for Inters. Yeah, quite a lot of support all of a sudden in the chat for Huss, who currently sits in P2. I have to say though, Volcano has been in complete control of this race this evening, and it would take something pretty special to beat the Williams driver to the flag in what appears like it's going to be a 2-lap shootout. Safety car is of course not going to be in this lap, so one would hope it is in at the end of next lap, so it's not just at 1 lap sprint. What we are of course not going to see anymore in this race is DRS, so no matter what happens as we go across the line into lap 20, there will only be a maximum of 2 laps of racing after the safety car, and of course DRS is only enabled after the on the 3rd lap after the safety car. So yeah, there's going to be no DRS action either down the main straight or down the Kemmel straight to Lake Coombe. So it's all going to have to be done old school then. Old school overtaking. So Volcano from Huss, Dragos, Kron, Danos, Schnitzy, Snellheng, Sinful, Craigo and Phil on mediums, goer. Goran Potner is back up to 12th. Cosmo 13th. IJ, Philip Hogston, Wardy, GR, Ricker and Spritzy. And Ricker, actually, with no penalties, could well find himself sort of all of a sudden, if he can make a little bit of progress as well, he could quite easily find himself well in the top 10 here. There's that group of, 5 drivers with penalties directly ahead of him. And there's a couple of big ones in there as well, 9 and 8 seconds sort of penalties. So Ricker just needs to keep his nose clean. We've lost Graham Potner. That's no good. So the guy in P12 at the moment looks like he's going to be out of things then. Halfway around pretty much the lap now. And we are expecting to get back underway this time. There's no reason why we shouldn't. All the cars are in a line. The incidents have been cleared, and we should be able to get racing once again. So there shouldn't be any issues with tyre temperature this time. They're all on soft tyres pretty much, and on a bone dry track by the looks of things. That is, according to the telemetry, increasing in temperature by about 2 degrees from what it was at the start of the race. Safety car is in this lap, so we're going to get back underway with a Baku-style 2-lap shootout. Hopefully we don't have a standing restart, because I don't think we could cope with that. So, Volcano made an absolutely brilliant restart last time, but he had the protection of Phil on what turns out to be the wrong tyres right behind him. This time he's going to have Huss on a nice new sticky set of soft tyres. And we'll go on board with Huss so we can see exactly when Volcano decides to drop the hammer. 2 laps of Spa coming very, very shortly. He's gone, hasn't he? And he's got the jump again. Oh, and Phil and Craig have come together. The 2 medium runners have made contact under the safety car right when we were finishing. Oh, Huss has gone very deep. Is that going to put... no, Dragos wasn't close enough to make any sort of benefit out of that. But again, Volcano 1.3 clear as we cross the start-finish line. And that's a very good restart for him. And again, Huss going a little bit deep. That's going to put Dragos all over the back of him as they run down to Air Rouge for the penultimate time, lap 21 of 22. And the Alpha is going to be lining up the Aston as we come through and onto the Camel Straight. Can we all keep it on the island? Yes. And yeah, no DRS, but they're going to be... And look at Kron. Kron's going a double slipstream as a result of all this. Does he have anywhere to go with it? He's going to try and force his way through. We finally get an off-board view, and there's a little bit of contact from Kron into the back of Huss, but it looks like we've pretty much ended up with them all running in the positions they were beforehand. Volcano, as a result, is now 3 seconds up the road, so he'll be very thankful for that. We've got a move there. Kron up the inside of Dragos. And can he make that one stick? He can, so Kron's back on the podium once again, despite that earlier drive-through penalty. And Dragos relegated to 4th. Then we've got the 3 penalty runners of Danos, Schnitzy and Snellhenk. And Craigo still running in P8, but Phil obviously picked up that additional penalty for contact under the safety car, so he's going to drop quite a few places. We'll just keep an eye as well. We'll go back to the interval so we can see what's happening. Spritzy trying to make his way back up the order as, oh, there's going to be contact there between Wardy and Goran Potner, and that may well be an AI as well of Goran Potner. I'm not entirely certain. Looks like, yeah, it does look like it's unfortunately AI. We've lost Goran Potner then. So Spritzy, can he make his way through this time? He can, and Ricker should be able to make that position up as well. The problem they've got is those that had penalties have sprinted off down the road. As Volcano sets the fastest lap of the race, a 47.5. Here's pretty much the best conditions we've had for the entire race, isn't it? Nice and sunny out there now. And oh, someone's gone off completely there. Danos running wide, and that's going to probably give Schnitzy the position. Is Snellhenk going to find a way through as well? They're going to go side by side through Air Rouge. No, thinks better of it. And pulls back in behind him. Cosmo running slowly. What's going on there? Has he been off, or what's happened? Not entirely sure on that one. All of a sudden he's got the pace back. Not sure if he dropped it out of La Source, but either way, he's going on the inside. He's going to make that one stick into Lecum, all over the curb. Oh, and there's a little bit of contact, and that's just saved himself from a spin by having a little bit more contact with the side of the McLaren. We've got some yellow flags. Who's that for? There's Cron! Cron's gone round! And dropped once again to P9 now. That puts Craig up to P6. Maybe there is something for the Ferrari fans this evening. Snellenk in an excellent P5 at the moment as well. Schnitzy and Danos just ahead of him. It's all pretty calm up the front though. As who's gone round? Snellenk. Snellenk's gone round. Oh, he's gonna have to wait for the entire pack. Cosmo, I think, has gone round as well, hasn't he? Or is that? Yeah, Cosmo's facing the wrong way again. Absolutely chaotic final lap then. They made it through the penultimate lap absolutely fine. Then the final lap, it's all just gone to pot. But Volcano comes across his second race in RPM, takes his first victory. Huss is going to come across the line and for some very, very important points in P2 on a day where most of his rivals haven't scored strongly. Schnitzy, despite penalties, picks up P3. Danos P4. Craigo takes P5 for Ferrari. Sinful in 6th. And then Cron P7 in the end after all the penalties shake out following that mistake. Goa in P8. Dragos P9. Ricker did make it back into the top 10 finally at the end there for AlphaTauri. Philip Hodgson 11th. Spritzy made it back to P12. And Phil P13 following penalties. Snelling 14th. Schmidt saying this is carnage. Yeah, absolute chaos on that final lap. And Sinful is apparently your driver of the day. We will just take a moment when we get the official standings to take a look back and see if we can remember a better performance than that. Let's have a look as we get Volcano out onto the top step of the podium. So, Williams, Aston Martin and Red Bull this evening. Again, 3 teams represented on the podium. And confirmation of your results then. So, yeah, it's Volcano's first victory. It's his second podium in 2 races. Apparently it's Huss's first podium. That can't be correct, surely. I'm sure we've seen him up there before. However, so we've got Volcano from Huss, Schnitzy, Danos, Craigo, Sinful, Cron, Goa, Dragos, and Rickowy top 10. Philip Hodgson, Spritzy, Phil, Snelling, Cosmo, Goran Potner, Wardy, IJ, and GR were your 19, and Spivey, unfortunately, we lost earlier on. So, yeah, as Smith says in the chat, great race. Yeah, absolutely. It certainly came to life with that little sprinkling of rain, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of reaction to come. Plenty of people who feel they got it wrong. Obviously, the likes of Volcano, Huss, and Schnitzy will be absolutely ecstatic with that podiums. But either way, that's it for us this evening, and there's much more to come tomorrow and Thursday on the RPM YouTube channel, of course. That's all from me this evening. Thank you very much for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your night. Goodbye.